The company says the med is 89% effective in reducing hospitalizations and death in high-risk people when taken after initial symptoms. The result is based on a study of more than 2,200 patients. The FDA is expected to rule soon on whether to authorize Pfizer's COVID pill and a competing pill from Merck. The federal government says it will purchase enough Pfizer pills to treat 10 million people and enough Merck pills for 3 million people. We have new information this morning on a crash in South Fargo that seriously injured a man. The North Dakota Highway Patrol now says the victim has life-threatening injuries and troopers are trying to ID him. He was hit by a car while walking last night at 13th Avenue and 25th Street South. Police say a car driven by an 18-year-old Fargo man was heading south on 25th with a green light when the man stepped out on the south side of the intersection to cross the street. The driver has not been charged at this time. The Highway Patrol says more information will be released tonight. New this morning, bogus bills are circulating in the Northern Valley. The Rolette County Sheriff's Office is warning businesses in the area to watch out for these kind of counterfeit bills. Deputies are investigating reports of a woman in St. John, North Dakota, passing that fake money. They seized more than $4,600 from the suspect in 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s. It's hard to miss the trick on either the front or the back of the bills. Both sides have the word copy printed right on them. Morehead Public Schools are moving to optional face masking starting on the new year. School board members last night approved the changes that make masking optional now that COVID vaccines are widely available. The face mask policy changes for the high school and career academy on January 17th, the middle schools on January 31st, and the elementary schools on February 14th. The district is also replacing in-school close contact quarantines with new COVID testing protocols. It is now 6:52 on this Tuesday morning. 35 degrees right now in the metro. Not too bad, Lisa, for this time of the year.
We're looking nice and mild here coming up for today, and it's going to be warm, windy, and just really kind of pleasant to be outdoors if you don't mind a little bit of that wind. And that's ahead of what's coming our way. We're going to talk about the latest on our winter storm that's going to be hitting on Wednesday and into Thursday. So let's take a look at, first of all, what we know for sure. So we're looking at the timing of this storm being around that evening hour time frame and into the overnight and into the early morning hours on Thursday. So timing on that's going to be heading into the second part of the day tomorrow. I think it will be on the mild side and quiet side leading up to that. Wind will also start to pick up. We're going to see those gusts going 40 plus miles per hour. Combine that with any falling snow, and I do think we'll have some on Thursday morning, and we've got trouble with blowing snow and low visibility. In addition to that, cold coming with this too. Big temperature drop from the 30s that we're at now to the teens for highs by the time we get into Thursday. Here's some things that have been changing in our forecast model guidance. We've been seeing shifts in the track of the storm, and that impacts a lot. It impacts what we see and how much of what we see. So we're looking at that type of precipitation. Right now I'm thinking eastern parts of our viewing area have the potential for a little bit of mixed precipitation initially, changing over to snow. The rest of us experiencing snow with this into Thursday, or rather Wednesday night and into Thursday. And the amounts will be varying too. There could be 6+ inches somewhere in the valley. It would be most likely in our eastern viewing area that we would be seeing that. So we want to be prepared for that, both with the blowing and drifting snow, but also ready to shovel yet again here by the time we head into Thursday. Here's a look at our current conditions. Again, it's been very mild. We're in the 30s throughout the valley. We're seeing some cloud cover in the southern valley. That's starting to move on, and then we'll get some clearing going on, and we'll get some sunshine in there for today. So that should feel pretty nice, especially when we factor in the wind kind of trying to take away from that warming here for your afternoon. So here's our current conditions. Right now it's 35 degrees in Fargo. We've got some quiet weather as far as precipitation is concerned. A little breezy, some gusts out of the southeast into the 20s. And then as we head into the day, as far as heading out to the bus stop, the kids will want their waterproof boots and shoes because temperatures will be above freezing. We still got some ponding and slush out there from the melting that's been happening. And by the afternoon, partly cloudy skies, temperatures above freezing at 36 degrees. expect some wind that will remain with us through the day. We'll have some gusts going into the 30s at times, maybe even up to 40 miles per hour. Again, Wednesday, warm initially, and then that colder air rushes in. It brings that chance for some mix, some snow, and that wind. And we'll have more details on this over the next 24 hours as it starts to approach. And then much colder behind this system. We may have some sub-zero lows by the time we get into Saturday. So be ready for the cold to return coming up this week.
All right, a lot to watch out for. Lisa, thank you. It's now 6:55. Fargo's Liquor Control Board has unanimously approved to a change in ownership and management for what used to be the Africa International Restaurant and Nightclub. The business will be known as the Summit Restaurant and Nightclub. The change comes after a deadly shooting and several other calls for service prompted the Liquor Control Board to suspend the license. The recommendation still needs to be approved by the City Commission. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin appears to be on the verge of pleading guilty to violating George Floyd's civil rights. There is a plea hearing scheduled for tomorrow. That move would remove Chauvin from a federal trial, but could significantly increase the likely length of his sentence. Chauvin has already been convicted of state murder and manslaughter charges for pinning his knee against Floyd's neck as a black man said he couldn't breathe in May of 2020. Chauvin and 3 other former officers were scheduled to go to trial in late January on the civil rights charges. A medical examiner for Hennepin County was the first witness called at the start of the second week of the Dante Wright manslaughter trial in the Twin Cities. He told jurors that Wright's gunshot wound was not survivable.
The entrance point was somewhere near the base of the arrow, and the bullet was recovered somewhere near the tip of the arrow. So you can see, even though that the wound direction was shallow through the chest, as we saw in the previous image, it did cross areas of the left lung, the heart, and the right lung.
Prosecutors also went over differences between former officer Kim Potter's handgun and taser. They're trying to raise questions about how an experienced officer would confuse the two. Potter says she meant to use her taser on Wright, but instead pulled out her handgun. A whistleblower tells us criminals are taking advantage of a flaw in a system that's designed to help landlords and renters, and it's making some an easy target. The crooks are using what's called a J key, where each garage has a numbered key designed to open the garage if the power goes out or you lose the remote. But burglars are collecting these keys and then using them to break in and steal whatever they can find.
Don't keep anything that's of value in your garage, and make sure you keep your car locked in your garage.
Police say they have seen an increase in burglaries in the metro because people are not locking their car doors or they're leaving their garages open. A Morehead woman is urging teens in the valley to think twice before making a school violence threat. She says the consequences can negatively impact your life forever, and she knows it. She's still dealing with her mistake from 18 years ago. Hannah Blankenship says she was badly bullied and threatened to stab someone back in 2003. That got her expelled and then charged with felony terrorizing. That's the same charge all 3 students from last week's threats in West Fargo are now facing.
There's other ways to ask for the attention that you need. You could go to the counselor at your school. You could say, like, I'm feeling this way, but don't make it into a threat, especially on social media.
She says it all comes down to mental health as she asks parents and teachers to take a closer look for any warning signs. Gray Television, Valley News Live's partner company, is teaming with the Salvation Army to provide relief for people affected by last weekend's deadly tornado outbreak. You can donate directly to the Salvation Army's disaster relief efforts by texting HL Tornado to 51555. It's also up on your screen. You can donate online by going to valleynewslive.com and clicking on this story as well. Let's get the answer now to that question of the morning. 38% of kids will do this between now and Christmas. The answer, cry on Santa's lap. Can make for a funny photo sometimes, though. The Today Show and CBS This Morning are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. We'll have more live up-to-the-minute news and weather on the CW. Have a great Tuesday, everyone.